The big dangle for justice continues. It's wrestlers versus the federation yet again. This is Brij Bhushan's B team is booted out. The government cracks the whip on the new wrestling body over sports code violation. An interim panel now likely to take over the Wrestling Federation of India. The big Red Sea trouble for India. 2 India-bound ships attacked in just 2 days. Houthi drones strike Indian vessels in the Suez Canal. The Poonch terror attack, Army chief to visit on Monday. Search operations on after civilian deaths in the district. But signs of militancy resurfacing in Jammu and Kashmir. In Baramulla, meanwhile, a retired police officer is shot dead. The big Madhya Pradesh cabinet expansion on Monday. Chief Minister Mohan Yadav meets BJP President JP Nadda ahead of the cabinet expansion on Monday. There's some hope for Indians detained at the French airport. Stuck for 4 days, 304 Indians to resume travel on Monday. The plane was grounded amid human trafficking concerns. And carols, lights and Christmas joy. Christmas ushers in the holiday season. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I am Vedanta Garwal. Our lead story, well, the big dangle for dignity is back to square one. It is a big blow to the newly elected Wrestling Federation of India. The Sports Ministry has suspended activities till further notice. The government, in fact, first sent them a strongly worded statement, then asked the Indian Olympic Association to form an ad hoc panel. Let's take a look at the developments because, well, the situation is back to earlier this year where there were protests and an ad hoc panel was formed earlier. Take a look.
It has been a dramatic few days in the world of wrestling. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh's men winning elections, Dr. Sakshi Malik retiring and Bajrang Punia returning his Padma Shri in protest. A day before Christmas, the government swung into action, stopping all activities by the Sanjay Singh panel. The Sports Ministry has also written to the Indian Olympic Association to form an ad hoc committee that will control and manage the day-to-day affairs of WFI. This requires for immediate and stringent corrective measures to uphold the principles of good governance in sports organizations, and thus now it becomes incumbent on part of the IOA to make suitable arrangements for the interim for managing the affairs of WFI so that sportspersons of wrestling discipline do not suffer, said Tarun Pratik, the Under Secretary to Government of India, writing to the IOA President. The government pulled up the WFI elected panel for taking decisions which were against the constitution of the Federation, not following the National Sports Code, the newly elected members being under complete control of the former office bearers, running the Federation from the premises controlled by the former key members. On the day he got selected as the new president of the Federation, Sanjay Singh announced that under 15 and under 20 trials will take place in Gonda, which is the bastion of former Federation boss Brij Bhushan, even though he claims to have distanced himself from wrestling.
तक कुश्ती के लिए काम किया, अच्छा किया या गलत किया, इसका मूल्यांकन समय करेगा और एक तरीके से कुश्ती खेल से मैं संन्यास ले चुका हूं, मतलब कुश्ती से मैं अपना नाता तोड़ चुका हूं.
The new president wants to appeal to the government to overturn its decision.
अभी हम लोग जाकर के सरकार से बात करेंगे, मोदी जी से बात करेंगे, खेल मंत्री से बात करेंगे, क्योंकि बच्चों का भविष्य खराब हो रहा है. एग्जीक्यूटिव कमेटी के कुछ लोग जाएंगे हमारे साथ, जाकर के बात करेंगे, प्रयास किया जाए कि वहां से अपना निलंबन समाप्त करवाया जाए.
This brings temporary relief to the wrestlers who have fought for almost a year to clean up the system.
देखो वो उनका पॉलिटिकल है, वो उनका एजेंडा है, लेकिन हमारी जो लड़ाई है वो सरकार से ना तो थी और ना आगे रहेगी. हमारी लड़ाई सिर्फ एक आदमी से थी, हमारी लड़ाई जो है महिलाओं के लिए थी.
The relief for wrestlers is interim and it seems like things are back to square one as it was in May. It looks like there is going to be a long twisted court battle that lies ahead. With camera person Ashwini Mehra, Osama Shah for NDTV.
So, well, that stalemate continues. There seems to be no end to that. This as wrestlers have already waited long enough for justice. But moving now to the big political headline. Well, the much-awaited MP cabinet expansion is to take place on Monday after a lot of suspense over who will actually be sworn in as ministers in the Madhya Pradesh cabinet. Well, these are pictures of the newly sworn-in Chief Minister Mohan Yadav meeting the BJP President JP Nadda in the national capital. He also said that, well, the cabinet expansion will take place on Monday. The BJP's bid will be to balance the caste arithmetic as far as the cabinet is concerned because they have an OBC chief minister at the helm. Listen in to what the chief minister had to say.
कल दोपहर 3:30 बजे मध्य प्रदेश के नए मंत्रिमंडल की शपथ है। मैं मान के चलता हूँ यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री के नेतृत्व में जिस प्रकार से प्रचंड जीत मिली है, हम सब अपने नए मंत्रिमंडल के साथ माननीय मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में, माननीय नड्डा जी के नेतृत्व में, माननीय गृह मंत्री अमित शाह जी के नेतृत्व में एक बार फिर विकास के लिए डबल इंजन की सरकार के रूप में आगे।
And my colleague Amritanshi Joshi is now joining us live on the phone line. So Amritanshi, the much-awaited cabinet expansion finally on Monday. So what all is expected? Who all sort of is invited? And the BJP's attempt will be to balance the caste arithmetic in the cabinet as well. What are some of the likely names you're hearing?
For sure, many formulas were being mentioned by the organization itself. And according to the information received, on 3:30 p.m. Monday, the cabinet expansion, the first cabinet expansion of Madhya Pradesh will be happening. Also, CM Mohan Yadav was constantly on Delhi tours. He met National President JP Nadda, also many senior leaders of BJP. And he was continuously meeting the leaders and the party high command in Delhi. Meanwhile, it is being claimed that some names for the cabinet expansion has already been decided. At the same time, a formula has also been prepared on which basis of which the MLAs will get the seats. BJP has already given shocking names for the position of CM or the deputy CMs of Madhya Pradesh. However, sources say that Mohan Yadav's cabinet expansion will not get a chance for those MLAs who have won elections for the very first time. Also, along with the new and old leaders will be included in the cabinet. Leaders who have won elections more than twice can be included in the cabinet. Also, especially the leaders who left their MP seats in the Lok Sabha and came to Madhya Pradesh, like Prahlad Singh Patel or Kailash Vijayvargiya. They could also be sworn as ministers on Monday at 3:30 p.m. In Raj Bhavan, all the preparations have already been started. In the Madhya Pradesh Assembly elections, BJP this time took a very shocking decision and fielded many leaders. Some of the names could be Kailash Vijayvargiya, Prahlad Singh Patel, Rakesh Singh, Uday Pratap Singh, Didi Patak, all the people who came back for the politics in Madhya Pradesh, and also some old leaders from the Sindhia group especially, and some new and old faces will be mixed together for the cabinet expansion. Around 18 to 20 leaders could be sworn in for ministers. Vedant.
Amritanshi, thanks very much for joining us with that update. So, well, many MPs are to be accommodated as well, but the BJP is known for swinging surprises, so one never really knows. Well, moving now to the other big story from Chhattisgarh, where an encounter in Dantewada, 3 Maoists were actually shot dead. There was a fierce gun battle between security forces and Maoists, and 3 of them were shot dead after that anti-Maoist operation began. And it was a joint team of security forces that led this encounter there in Chhattisgarh's Dantewada, which is known as, an area vulnerable to Maoists. Listen in to what the police had to say.
आज 24 दिसंबर 2023 को थाना कटे कल्याण अंतर्गत तुमकपाल से डब्बाकुन्ना की जंगल पहाड़ी जो कि जिला दंतेवाड़ा सुकमा का बॉर्डर है, वहाँ पर नक्सलियों की उपस्थिति की आसूचना थी, जिस पर से दंतेवाड़ा जिले के डीआरजी बस्तर फाइटर की टीम रवाना की गई और मौके पर उनकी घेराबंदी की गई। नक्सलियों द्वारा फायरिंग करने पर पुलिस द्वारा जवाबी कार्रवाई की गई, जिसमें दंतेवाड़ा पुलिस को 3 नक्सली वर्दीधारी पुरुष नक्सली का शव बरामद किया गया और भारी मात्रा में गोला बारूद, नक्सल सामग्री एवं हथियार बरामद किया गया है।
And our senior colleague Anurag Dwari is now joining us live on the phone line. So Anurag, this area is vulnerable to Maoists. We of course remember that Naxal attack in Dantewada. So this fierce gun battle led to the killing of 3 Maoists, and seems to be quite a massive anti-Maoist operation there.
Yes, Vedant, the gunfight broke out in the forest which comes under Katekalyan area between Tumkapal and Dabbakunna. In a forest area, and it started around 5:30. It's the area. It's in the border of Dantewada and Sukma district, and between DRG, that is District Reserve Guard, and the Naxals. And after that, the dead bodies of 3 Naxals were recovered, and explosive material and huge quantity of Naxal material were also found on the spot. And on December 20th also, 5 Naxalites were injured in an encounter between security forces and the Naxal in the neighboring Sukma district. And on that day, the gunfight broke out in the forest of Nagram and Kottapalli villages, when the team of District Reserve Guard, a unit of state police along with the Cobra 201 battalion of the CRPF and Bastar fighters, which is a police unit aimed at combating left-wing extremism in Bastar, were out on a anti-Naxal operation. And the security forces headed by the DRG and CF as well as the CRPF are still searching the area.
Anurag, thanks very much for joining us with that update. So that fierce gun battle there that led to the killing of 3 Maoists in Dantewada. Well, moving now to the other big story. Well, in Poonch, after the terror attack there, the Chief of Army Staff, General Manoj Pandey, will be visiting the district and also Rajouri on Monday to review military preparedness after the spike in major terrorist attacks on security forces. The entire area was cordoned off. Of course, there were civilian deaths that were reported in the area as well. And the situation on the ground, of course, remains sensitive. The army has been sort of on the guard, and now the Chief of Army Staff will be visiting Poonch on Monday. And now to the big political controversy. Well, a video of DMK leader Dayanidhi Maran, which party sources claim is old, can spell trouble for the unity of the India bloc at a time when it's gearing up for the big Lok Sabha elections. Well, in this particular video that's gone viral on social media, the veracity of which NDTV cannot verify, DMK MP Dayanidhi Maran is heard comparing the job prospects of those who have studied only Hindi to those with English in a very derogatory way. He says in that purported video that those who study only Hindi in Bihar build houses and clean toilets in Tamil Nadu. This has, of course, led to a sharp response from the parties here in the heartland. Listen in.
जो तमिलनाडु के जो नेता ने जो बात कही, पहली बात तो जो करुणानिधि जी की जो पार्टी है, डीएमके पार्टी, सामाजिक न्याय में विश्वास रखती है। अगर उनके दल के अगर कोई भी नेता अगर बिहारियों के बारे में कुछ बोले हैं बिहार यूपी के लोगों के लिए, तो बहुत निंदा करने वाली बात है। इससे हम लोग सहमत नहीं। बिहार और यूपी के लोगों को जो मजदूर हैं, पूरे देश में जो है मांग उठती है।
बहुत आपत्तिजनक बात दयानिधि मारन बोले हैं। एक तरफ हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी सबका सम्मान, सबका विकास की बात करते हैं, और आज उत्तर भारत और दक्षिण भारत के बीज को बोना चाहता है लोग, यह नहीं होगा। नरेंद्र मोदी जी अब एक भारत और श्रेष्ठ भारत बनाने के संकल्प के साथ चल रहे हैं।
So, well, this is becoming a huge political flashpoint there, but reportedly it's an old video. We take a short break now. News continues on the other side. Welcome back. In international news, there's good news likely for 300 Indians detained at the French airport. Well, most of the Indians detained over suspicions of human trafficking will be free to resume their trip on Monday, as per reports. Now, the Nicaragua-bound Airbus A340 and its 303 Indian passengers have been held at the Vatry airport, which is to the east of Paris. Now this since they arrived on Thursday, so they've been stuck there for the past 4 days. In fact, an anonymous tip-off said that the plane was carrying potential victims of human trafficking. Now, the passengers of the flight operated by the Romanian company Legend Airlines are hauled up at the airport. They include 11 unaccompanied minors and women as well. This as per Paris prosecutors. Now, the Indian embassy in Paris Saturday said that the embassy consular staff are on site working with French authorities for the welfare of the detained passengers for an early resolution of the situation. So, well, there's some good news, some relief likely, with them likely to get out of detention on Monday. But moving now to the big Red Sea trouble for India. Perhaps for the first time since the Israel-Hamas war began months ago, India's maritime trade is under direct threat. In just a matter of 2 days, 2 India-bound ships in the Red Sea came under attack, reportedly by Yemen-based Iran-backed Houthis. Now, it was on Saturday that a cargo ship off the Gujarat coast with over 20 Indians on board was hit by a drone reportedly from Iran. Now, less than 24 hours later, an oil tanker on its way to Mumbai was hit by a drone strike as well. Now, an SOS was sent immediately to a US naval ship patrolling the southern Red Sea, and they reported a near miss of the Houthi drone. Since October this year, ever since the war broke out, there have been as many as 15 attacks on commercial shipping by the Houthis. While there are diplomatic ramifications, the consequences on trade are very real as well. India's export-import business is under direct threat now. The Red Sea route is extremely critical for India's trade. Let's take a look at how important the Suez Canal route actually is for India, because that is a critical route that India uses for its trade as well. In fact, 65% of India's Brent crude passes through the Suez Canal route, and oil imports worth over $100 billion actually use the Suez Canal route this particular financial year. That's a huge number we are talking about. Now, 9% of cargo passing through Suez Canal was actually connected to India. It actually either ended up in India or emerged from India. Now, half of India's exports to Europe and North Africa use this particular route. Now, Indian trade goods worth over $100 billion passed through the Suez Canal. But let's also take a look at the global picture, because global trade is in troubled waters. These ships, these commercial ships that are now under threat, actually signify huge numbers. They represent 12% of global trade, 9% of global oil demand, 6% of LNG or liquefied natural gas imports, and 30% of container shipments. In fact, almost 20,000 commercial ships ply the Red Sea route or the Suez Canal route annually. Let's also take a look at how this is a real threat to global economy and how this could disrupt global supply chains. Well, because of the escalating maritime tensions, these ships have to take a detour from the fastest Asia-Europe route, the Suez Canal route. This in turn increases the transit time, which could also mean that insurance premia would go up for the crew and shipping rates would subsequently rise. This actually could throw global production schedules out of gear. Ultimately, what this could mean is the disruption of global supply chains. And the impact of that is something that would be felt by people like you and me, and particularly by countries like India, because Brent crude and fuel prices immediately go up. This could in turn mount and increase global inflationary pressures, and that could mean that global economies already suffering post-COVID inflationary pressures would squeeze and shrink further amid global headwinds. So that's how real the impact of the Red Sea attack by Houthis actually is.